Welcome to Vortex Garage. You know, on our last video, we were doing some metal work on the Spitfire. And when we were doing some of the panel repairs that we were doing, we ended up using our shrinker stretcher set. Well, as I did the editing of the video, I ended up finding a piece where I kind of walked through how these tools work and gave some examples of using both the shrinker and the stretcher. Well, it didn't really fit in with the video that we posted. What I figured would be a neat thing to do is go ahead and cut it out and show it as a separate video. Well, that's kind of what this intro is. We've gone ahead and done that, and what we're going to show you today is a cut scene from our last video where we do walk through using the shrinker stretcher, and we give you some examples of how it works. All right, so in our last video we showed you this table we put together, and we showed you our shrinker stretcher set. And what we're going to do is kind of demo how they work, and then we'll work on putting this piece together. Now remember, I was hoping to do this in one shot, so before I do that, I'm going to sort of familiarize myself by using a piece of scrap that I have that we cut off the car, and we'll show you how they work. So this is the shrinker, and that's the stretcher. So what they do is they have these, I got a closer look on this one, they have these jaws that as you pull the handle, the jaw, depending on if it's a shrink or stretch, they close and clamp on the metal, and then in terms of the stretcher, the jaws move apart slightly. So it's kind of a compound movement that they do. So what this one would do is it would go and stretch the metal, and you think about that, if you were to stretch this metal, which we've already done a tiny bit of testing on here, it's going to add material and pull it out. It's going to naturally want to bend it that way. Conversely, if I had shrunk it, it's going to want to pull it this way. So these two tools do those two different things. So let's show you kind of how they work and how simple they are. We'll put this one in our stretcher, and just like that, kind of work your way around. And you just kind of finesse it and feel it. And it keeps stretching that metal. And as you can see, it's stretching that metal out and causing it to bend. And we're getting a pretty good bend. So I'm actually going to keep going on this part because it's doing exactly what we want it to do. And this would be a good test piece to see if we can get close to that 80-degree mark without damaging the metal. Now they make some fancier ones of these where they have like foot press things, and you don't have to do the handle, because like a lot of metalworking tools, these kind of give you a bit of a workout, not a ton, but all right, there we go. So there's a pretty decent bend. So let's test our shrinker tool out on this and see what happens. Okay, so here's our shrinker, and this would be the right flange way. If we could bring this up, that's essentially what we're wanting to do. So let's put this in our shrinker tool. See how that's going to work for what we want. I can tell you this, it seems a little tighter to work with. As you can see, I am starting to get my bend that I want here, but I've got a lot of kind of extra material here. So let me try it again right here where it's a little bit cleaner. Okay, so you can see we're getting some of our bend there. right, so as you remember, when we pulled this piece out of the scrap pile, it was pretty much straight aside from this bend, and we were able to use our shrinker and our stretcher and put these radiuses in it. Now, the one thing I'm noticing is it's a lot harder to put the radius in on this side with the shrinker than it was with the stretcher based on how this bend is. And unfortunately, it looks like we're going to need to use the shrinker to make our radius to go on the car. So hopefully we're able to knock that out with what we're doing, because we're looking at about a similar amount of material in here. So we're going to go ahead and work it, and we're going to see if we can make it work for us. So I hope you enjoyed this video where we pulled a cut seam that we didn't put in our last video that kind of walked through using our shrinker stretcher set. Now, if you enjoyed this video, definitely stay tuned, because we'll always have more here on Vortex Garage.